Yeah, let's talk. So we have Wuthering Waves coming out in about 2 weeks-ish. Three weeks. Comes out on the 22nd. I requested off Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday because I think this game is going to be super successful. First, let's say what successful is going to mean. When you look at pull up the gacha earning chart. Where's the website that does this? 2024. Oh my god, where's the good one? But basically, when we look at the charts like this, holy shit, these images are huge. But when you look at ones like this, where you see, okay, sorry, this was before Acheron, got Genshin and stuff up here. Acheron, there it is. Okay, so this is the most recent one with Arlecchino. There we go, finally got it pulled up. So I think Wuthering Waves is going to be in this kind of top 10 region up here. I think upon release, it's going to be probably top 3, maybe top 1, because it seems like Honkai Star Rail Robin is going to come out. I think a lot of people are going to pull on her, but I think a lot of people might not, since a lot of people went hard for Acheron. I expect Robin sales to be lower than this 144,000 million marker. Would there be a lot of money to spend on the game at first? I think it'll be reasonably third. I think it wouldn't be crazy for Wuthering Waves to hit this marker here. And I fully expect it to do well. Everything about the game is giving me good vibes. We got good animations, good character designs. This character here, Jianjing, I forget how X's are pronounced. The monk girl, she's cute, good animations. Even this girl that's a healer, amazing, Lapras looking motherfucker, love it. A lot of games can have good looking characters, but that's not why I think the game is going to succeed. We know that the company behind Wuthering Waves is Kuroge, and they've been known to put out pretty good games overall. But the defining trait I'm looking for when I see a good developer is changing things and not telling the community that they're wrong. The community can be wrong and they can change things in a different way, but a lot of games will ignore the people saying like, hey, this thing feels terrible in the game, and they just ignore it forever. Hoyoverse is real bad about pull rates. They will not budge on that. They have found a mathematical formula to make the most money. Let's pull that chart back up. Hoyoverse is the top 2 games, and somewhere way down the list, you'll be able to find Honkai Impact third. They are about halfway down the list, and they're still making money off that game, and it's old as hell. They're not going to change their pull rates anytime soon. So, Wuthering Waves comes out. You got closed beta 1 and 2. Closed beta 1 comes out, everyone's like, okay, there's some good things, but there's some really shit feeling things about the game. Some of the animations were shit, the story was shit, the colors were shit. Like, they went too realistic with the color palette, and people don't want that in a game. They want a bit of vibrance. If everything looked like my bedroom does, it would be so bland, and there wouldn't be a reason to escape to this game. The whole mechanism behind gaming. Let's have a little drink of wine. And I'm pulling up this article here. This was January 19th, after the first CBT. We're going to call it closed beta. Closed beta 1. We're not saying that shit. But they literally came out with like, hey, we apologize that it was bad. They rewrote 90% of the story. This is promising. This means that they took the information from the closed beta and incorporated it into them. They didn't just say, oh, these people just don't understand it's actually a good game, or our test group said it was good, so fuck off. And the cinematics even. The cinematics are not easy to redo. You can rewrite real easy parts, we'll say. Like if dialogue's a little funky, you can just rewrite it. Cinematics require a whole team. So this is already a good marker. And then CB2, there was even people are having issues with like the feel of different characters. So they revamped the sound effects on a lot of like the characters' ultimates and skills to make it have that better fight feel. You want to be sucked into a game's mechanics and not feel like you're just pushing Q and E on your keyboard. You want to feel like you're hitting, or that you're plunging the sword into an enemy. You don't want to feel like E, E, Q, E, E, left click, left click. So things like that are great. They also, between 1 and 2, changed the way that the ecosystem's working, where duplicates you can use to funnel into your good echoes, which before just didn't work at all. So that seemed like something that they wanted to change at some point, but they were like, yes, we see that, we're changing that for you. So what am I showing here between these 2 tests and 2 articles here is that the developer is making improvements to the game. Hey, welcome back, Aya. It is a little bit afternoon here, so got our wine out already. We'll see if my computer or internet break today. They should be fine. If not, I'll hang myself outside this window. I can't get out the window. only opens like 4 inches, man. But I think I'm talking about Wuthering Waves right now. And I think this game's going to succeed because it has a good developer. When I look at games in the past that I've either picked up and dropped or picked up and kept playing, it's usually tied to a very specific developer that actually makes improvements to the game and listens to the audience. So Wuthering Waves, between closed beta 1 and 2, they made improvements to the story. 90% of the story. Cinematics changed. Characters' expressions changed. Ecosystem changed. Even after closed beta 2, they changed a lot of sound design. So when you use an ultimate, it isn't just like... It's like got voice sound effects, maybe something that's vague of a music instrument note. Like in Honkai Star Rail, when you use Ting Yun's ultimate, it's got the whole, don't know the name of it, but the foreign instrument that they use in China a lot, along with the color, the background changing into black and the particles being in gold. Oh, nice. What 5-star did you get? E2 Bronya. Oh, damn, your Bronya's cracked. I still don't have E1 Bronya. I want Eidolons of Welt. I want Welt to be usable. I have just Welt at 0. The only ones I have Eidolons of are Yangqing and who's the other one? Bailu. And Bronya is one of the best standard banner characters by a pretty large margin, so that's good. So I wanted to go over examples of developers that have made or broken a game. We'll start at a very big fan favorite here with Stardew Valley. The developer, publisher, everything is just ConcernedApe. It's one dude. And you can see here 600,000 positive, overwhelmingly positive reviews, no asterisks, no anything, just straight up good. The dude iterates on the game, kept adding features to it, supports mods being added to his game, fixing bugs constantly, transparency on Twitter, and everyone is going to hop onto his next game, which is Haunted Chocolatier, because people already have faith this guy can make a good game. Side note, there's no weird monetization. You buy the game, it's on sale right now for less than $10, and the only other add-on is the soundtrack as a separate file. So you can tell that when ConcernedApe goes forward, he's going to make another great game. HoloCure is a fan-made game, free to play. You get to play as all the HoloLive characters from all the different regions. They have transparency on Twitter, they have fixed the game, improved the game, and they just released a game that I'm going to play later, and it's called Hollow Break. I've already downloaded it, free to play as well. It's like a old style beat 'em up game. Can we go to the store page? So you just know it's gonna be good. It's just a simple little game, no bullshit, no monetization. Thanks for stopping by, IACat. I'm probably gonna be live as long as I can be today without passing out. So you already know that this is gonna be a reliable person to go to through the game. Is an actual fan of the games he makes or plays. So one, it's a little bit more controversial, but this is a large publisher / developer, is Valve. Valve is known for making only really good games. Some that are iconic, known forever. Some that are good, not perfect, but good. We'll say early cycles of new Counter-Strike tend to be rough. But you know that Valve is slowly gonna fix things through the game. However, I will say with Valve is that they will have the terrible monetization of skins in their game, which I'm not a big fan of, but at least through the game itself, it's pretty transparent. You can play all of the game, no problem. No weapon skins or anything. So this is a developer that, for the most part, when you see a Valve game, you're going to be happy to see, you'll be happy to purchase the game because you know it'll meet at least some standard. Let's go to another big developer that people have positive opinion of, Larian Studios. They have a track record of putting out really good games with just the upfront cost, no bullshit. It's a game where it's so good that you will be willing to pay extra, but they don't really give the option outside of this downloadable DLC that doesn't change your gameplay much. So this is a developer that if I see they're putting out another game, I'm going to trust that it's going to be a good game and maybe a game of the year not pretender. I've lost my words. Game of the year contender. Now, let's contrast that with some more controversial developers. So we have Gaijin here, I believe a company that has been based in Russia. When I see a Gaijin game, if you've not played War Thunder before, I would argue that it's one of the best flight simulating, combat dogfighting simulator, and tank battle simulators out there. I would put it over World of Tanks, has a lot more realism. When you shoot a tank, it shows where the projectile hit and what passengers it killed and so on. I've not done the ships. I haven't played War Thunder in a while. You can see nearly 500 on record. But when you see a game from Gaijin, you know that it's going to work and it's going to have great, as a long time, or as a old fan of this game. However, I know it's going to have aggressive monetization. This is done through buying in-game credits, buying premium currency to buy premium vehicles, buying currency to fix the premium or the non-premium vehicles, buying currency to speed up research for the next unlock, because it'll be 20 hours in-game time to unlock maybe the next plane. I don't remember how much longer some of them are. I think some of the later tiered jet fighters take forever to unlock. I didn't have my first jet vehicle until somewhere around 400 hours in this game. Granted, I was playing between tanks and planes, but I did mostly planes for 2 years in a row before the War Thunder Tanks division came out. So when I see a developer like Gaijin or the World of Warships, World of Tanks team as well, they'll be in the similar tier. I know the game's probably going to function well, and they'll attempt to adjust some things, but the monetization is going to be crazy, and premium stuff is going to trump the regular stuff 90% of the time. So this is a developer I'll be more nervous about stepping into, but you'll know the game will be okay. Let's get a little bit deeper. Now we're hitting mixed reviews. Let's go back to War Thunder for a second. I forgot that it says all reviews mostly positive with an asterisk. And why is that? Let's go look. There's the asterisk. You may say, wow, what happened here? So Steam does this thing where Steam will say, oh, there was a moment where things were bad, but they fixed it, so we can ignore these bad reviews. Otherwise, the game would forever be shit tier. This was a change to monetization, the best I can find from digging up. And I think this was one of the main causes of that. Gaijin admitted that the balance for free vehicles around negative SL and Silver Lions is the base gold money for the game. And what would happen is you will fly, let's say, a very advanced aircraft, like maybe like a jet fighter, because the game starts you off in like World War I planes, and you can get to like Cold War era jets. Around the time I stopped was early Cold War. They've added more since then in helicopters. But when you'd use a jet, if you got one kill and got killed, we'll say in game, you would earn, credits and stuff for getting a kill. But you have to repair your jet fighter. And the repair cost for a one-to-one trade was negative on your in-game currency. Most of the time you'd think that would be a wash. It depended on whether or not you won the game as well, because it adds a multiplier. But if you killed an enemy and you died, and then your team lost, it was just straight up negative for you in that game. So people would often buy a premium vehicle because they have no repair cost, which is intentional. So you can go out and farm credits and not have to repair or restock, refuel, re-ammo up on anything. So it looks like they admitted to this at some point, and then the community kind of balanced out afterward. It's to be expected from Gaijin. Okay, let's go over to Starfield now. Bethesda. Bethesda is one of the weirder ones to evaluate just based on developer. When you start talking about Bethesda games, people think of like, oh man, like Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas. Older school people really liked Fallout 1 and 2. And then you start talking about like Fallout 4, people are like, okay, Fallout 76 was terrible initially. They're also known for releasing hits that are like Skyrim. And people just know when you're going to play a Bethesda game, it's going to have bugs. Bethesda is lived by the mantra, it's not a bug, it's a feature. Even on my 360 back in the day playing Fallout 3, I would get the weirdest bugs, glitches. Sometimes the game would crash, and if you didn't save, you lost all that. You just knew it would happen because it's a Bethesda game. Just know it by the name. However, their credibility has started to tank recently. The release of almost said Starforge. The release of Starfield led to people just giving up on Bethesda as a company. When you release a space game, and you're like, there's all this open world, so much potential to happen. But in reality, you'd be on a planet like this with nothing on it. The expressions, dead, well-known Bethesda. Loading screens for everything. The release of Starfield actually pushed people to move over to No Man's Sky. Because in No Man's Sky, in the same hour you did nothing in Starfield, walking across a blank planet, in No Man's Sky, you've already done 3 different sub-plot lines where you're fighting bandits and on a ship with unique animals and so on. unique life form. So Bethesda's game, you know when you see it, it's gonna be bad. Not to mention that the dev, I believe the lead dev said that there's supposed to be nothing on some planets, just like in real life or some shit. And it's like you're playing a game for entertainment, not for real life simulator. Who would want to play a space game where you're based in like the real solar system where the only interesting shit is like Earth, and then you go everywhere else and it's either frozen, gaseous so you can't land on it, or just a rock that's too hot or too cold. That's it. So this is an example of the developer fighting the consumer, leading to mixed reviews. They're still fun to be had, but why would you bother purchasing a game that's mixed? Considered neutral at best. Let's go to... So Bethesda is a developer people have mixed feelings about. A lot of people will be willing to play their next game, but may not pre-purchase. So we'll put developers into tier. We'll say ConcernedApe, pre-order. I would say pre-order deluxe version. I won't because I don't have that kind of money, but this is a developer. I just know it's going to be good. So it would be worth doing the deluxe. HoloCure, I would say pre-order. You know, they've done, I think, 2 games so far that are popular, at least, yep. So you would definitely play immediately upon release, whether you're pre-order or not would be up to your wallet. Like Valve game. I wouldn't pre-order, but I would probably be ready to play it whenever. Larian Studios. I think this is one that people have enough faith in, they'd be willing to pre-order the deluxe version. Gauging game. I'm not pre-ordering, ever. Never getting the deluxe pre-register $100 bundle. I'm never doing that. Not touching that shit. I may not even play it. Bethesda. Some people would still pre-order a Bethesda game. I think you're a fool to do that because a lot of people got burnt by Starfield by that happening. Now we move on to you're a hero, but you lived long enough to become the villain. Blizzard Entertainment. Once the king of game development, starting as far back as World of Warcraft. It was the game. If you were in the gaming sphere, it was the game to play, or you were against it actively. Hang on, it's before World of Warcraft. We'll say Blizzard was known for StarCraft and Warcraft 1, 2, and 3. You played one or the other if you were into RTSs. And then you get to World of Warcraft. Blizzard becomes the king of development, of developers. You already knew Blizzard was going to make a good game and World of Warcraft was going to come out, and it came out and it hit and it got bigger and bigger. And people had faith that anything Blizzard was going to put out was going to be good. They had some setbacks in the World of Warcraft life cycle. StarCraft 2 was good and then fell off significantly after a lot of cheating in the pro scene and so on. Popularity waned on that. They put out Hearthstone. This game was everywhere. Everyone was playing Hearthstone. Everyone was buying the card packs, getting legendaries, playing versus each other, playing on their phone in college. My Calculus 2 grade was not happy about Hearthstone. So you knew Blizzard Entertainment, when they put out a game, it's going to be to a certain level. It's going to be playable. It's going to have pretty good controls. But then something started happening. Some people blame the Twitter mind virus that came out around Overwatch. Overwatch 1 came out. Overwatch. It was the most popular game for quite a few months after release. It was the most played in Korea, which is a big deal because League of Legends hadn't been dethroned since like 2012, the early 2010s, essentially. To see Overwatch come out, and it was big in every country. Everyone knew it. Everyone was watching the porn of Tracer and Widowmaker. The game was hitting on so many levels. People weren't happy with the loot boxes, but people liked that you could get, with enough playtime, skins for free. There was also events you could get free loot boxes. So people weren't that upset about the monetization. Some people were because, you know, their kids would spend too much on it. But overall, the game was still decent. Pretty good. Balancing in the game, however, was a nightmare. Everyone knows about the GOATS meta, where tanks and healing becomes king. The game starts to die because of it. They ham-fist hard force people into certain roles where you could only have like 2 of each category, roughly. People enjoy the game less. Queues take a long time. Less people are already playing because of earlier metas not being fun. The game is starting to dwindle away. The single player modes were kind of fun. People enjoyed them. I did a few. So Blizzard's like, okay, the game's petered off. The pro scene died because they artificially inflated it and promised the world to these investors that just wasn't real. They promised the Mars when they haven't left Earth. So between the pro scene dying and the casual side dying, while only the porn side flourishing, they decide to keep changing things about the characters. They change the names of certain characters. In general, it's kind of a thing where in games they tend to leave sexuality ambiguous. They started hard forcing sexuality. Like, yeah, this person's gay, this person. It's like Harry Potter when J.K. Rowling started just saying, like, yeah, Dumbledore was always gay. Like, said that like 10 years later. It's like, okay, whatever. In the memes where that you don't decide whether or not you're gay, J.K. Rowling does. They started doing the Rowling to a bunch of characters. It's like, okay, whatever. Just to get brownie points. Let's see if we can find Pippa's rant. This sums it up. Is this the one? Because Pippa says it how it is. She's so fucking funny. All right, come on, Pippa. Tell us why Overwatch 2 sucks ass. See, there was the role selector.
Today we are playing Overwatch. I really thought it'd be a return to form. I saw Yuri complaining in the Discord about it, and I was like, oh, it can't be that bad, right? Like, but God, everything she's saying was fucking true. Everything she's saying is fucking true. It's like, holy shit. Everyone feels fucking nerfed. It's not fun. It's not like... It's just not fun, man. It's just not fun.
True.
This is the form. It's not a return to form. This isn't how Overwatch 1 released. Why, Pippa? This is modern gaming, Pippa.
Base chatter.
I'm sorry, chat. I forgot the modern fucking Western games are dog shit. I forgot the fucking Western industry cares more about giving brownie points on fucking Twitter than they do making the games, chat. I fucking Blizzard doesn't have anything other than having their dick sucked by game journalists. Fuck, man. I thought maybe they'd be like, you know what? You know what? Maybe we should. Okay, we can let Kotaku play with our balls, but how about we also release like something a little bit like the fans might want, right? How about we release something a little bit like that? The fans might be like, oh yeah, this is like a fucking. It's not great, but it's good. You know, like, oh man, I feel so okay playing this game. Maybe I don't feel good playing it like I did playing Overwatch when it first launched. But how about at least I feel okay playing it? This is just fucking boring! It's the same fucking game! It's the same fucking game! With these unneeded changes that nobody fucking asked for!
Legendary rant. That's a like. She summed it up better than I ever could. Blizzard says, let's launch Overwatch 2. And they're like, guys, it's gonna be so cool. We're gonna have PvE. It's gonna be crazy. Let's look at some of the reviews. Look at that. There you go. They announced that they were gonna have PvE mode, and that was like the selling point. Like, yeah, it's the same game as before, basically, with 5v5 instead of 6v6, which I don't know how that shakes out in the meta of this game because it's crazy to begin with, and probably easier to get 5 friends together than 6. Whatever. But holy moly. You promise all this PvE content that you could do with your friends where it's more casual. It's like horde modes and like a campaign mode. Everyone's pumped about it. And then they are like, oh yeah, all that Overwatch 2 stuff. Yeah, we're cutting the PvE. We're just cutting it completely. It's gone forever. No, gone. And people are like, what the fuck? Then why are you releasing Overwatch 2 if all you did was remove one member off the fucking team? And it's like the same exact game. If you even look at the UIs and shit for the game, it looks pretty much the same. They don't even show it on their Steam page. They're too afraid to show that the UI is the same. It's the same game, just as Pippa was ranting about. It's the same shit. All they cared about was being popular to the press. And they forgot about their actual fucking fan base. And it's like, what are you doing? You had the Golden Goose, had Tumblr, all happy about it. And you were just like, okay, let's just make it to where it's not even fun for those people. To where all they do is talk about the characters and fan art. It's like a terrible gacha game that has zero, like, new things about it. That's not that strong a point. Oh, and then I forgot. Let's see if there's a review bomb at some point. I think here. But basically they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna add the PvE mode in here. Fucking battle pass invasion bundle, and this is the PvE mode that was promised originally, but instead it's behind a fucking paywall. How could you imagine ever dealing with Blizzard, again, after this, they were trying to save the company on a adjacent note by being bought out by Microsoft. So I hope they kill Overwatch and don't resurrect it for like 10 years minimum. They need to go back to the fucking drawing board, start from the ground up, and think like, what do people actually want, not what fucking game journalists on Twitter want. In World of Warcraft, they brought back Chris Metzen. Okay, might make the game better. The game was okay during Dragonfly. It kind of fell off. It was good, and then once you did it for a while, you're like, okay. They need to redo that game. Figure out a way where, as Asmongold puts it, a game that makes you want to waste your time, not just waste your time. There were just so many things in World of Warcraft that were just behind like a time gate, meaning that you just had to log in every day or every week to build up a number that you couldn't see up to, or sometimes could see. A lot of times on like a 5-week timer, meaning you needed minimum 2 months subscription for it. Instead of just making the game fun to where people want to log in and do random activities and so on, the game used to be. In classic World of Warcraft, you could clear it to the final end boss. I think people in hardcore did it in like 2 weeks. You could beat Molten Core in 2 weeks from the release of the game. And people would just hang out in the game, duel each other, duel other people, do PvP because they wanted to show off how good they were. They would do raids just to show how big their dick is and damage. And they would do it to help other people get gear. It wasn't that, oh, it took them a year and a half to gear up. It was like they were geared, and let's just have fun in the game. So originally I was going to play War Within upon release, which is the World of Warcraft new expansion. Fuck no. I'm giving that shit like a month. I might play the 0.1 patch maybe, or 0.05 patch. Definitely not upon release. I'm going to have to watch some shit because damn. Endgame in World of Warcraft sucks ass. Raid designs are usually good, aside from visibility. But holy fuck, when you see a game is released by Blizzard in the next 5 years, you should be concerned. And probably warn your friends. Because if it's going to be another Overwatch 2, another Battle for Azeroth, another Shadowlands, another Warcraft 3 Reforged disaster, this dev is on the tier of avoid. Not pre-order deluxe, not day one purchase, not wait a month. It's like a void level. And the reason why I was thinking about this is because of Helldivers 2. You can see that recently there's been over 200,000 reviews. I have about 70 hours in the game. I'm like level 41, I believe. This game had everything perfect to where you buy the game for not even a full price game. It's a $40 game. You could buy the Super Citizen Bundle. I forget what all is in this. I think you get the okay, so you get some cosmetics, a specific weapon that I don't see anyone use, a special title, which doesn't change anything. The hero ship game is a mini game that you can just have on your ship and you just like push buttons on it. And $10 of this goes into the next war bond, which allowed you to save up your super credits that are in the game to buy the next war bond. So the value on buying this, a lot of people were happy buying the Super Citizen Edition for Helldivers 2. You could unlock every cosmetic by playing the game. It took a while to unlock the medals and the super credits by finding them either on the map in game or by doing certain mission types and unlocking them through banners, but you would gain just about everything you need. The gameplay was good, and they were always and still are adjusting weapon balance. You say, hey, like this weapon feels terrible, and they're like, yeah, we can see it's pretty terrible. Like the airburst rocket launcher that recently came out, you would fire in this scenario, you would fire the airburst rocket launcher and it would detonate because of the proximity of your teammate and just wipe everyone in the squad. Granted, you wouldn't shoot at an enemy this far, like if you were shooting at an enemy by that tree over there. It would detonate just passing by your teammate, causing a whole squad to wipe. They're like, yeah, we see that. Took them, I think, a couple weeks, and they fixed it. They've taken even the base assault rifle that used the Liberator. They've buffed it a little bit, and it was already a super popular weapon. A lot of people just play with the Liberator, the base assault rifle. The game was playable for free. It was fun for free. You could unlock and have customize however you wanted. Stratagems, easy to get. I've unlocked all of them. And then what happens? Why is this mixed and overwhelmingly negative? So far, everything I've talked about is from the dev side. Arrowhead Game Studios. They nailed this game. They made this game. This logo that just popped up, this cursed logo, this publisher, PlayStation PC LLC. As far as everyone can tell, based on the Arrowhead CEO's statements, PlayStation decided before we were going to have this optional thing where you log in to PlayStation using PlayStation account, and that'd be the way you would do like microtransactions possibly or something. Now they're pushing it as mandatory. So what happened? Why is that terrible? So let's begin with the simple example. PlayStation Network is not available in every country. As here you can see, purchase this game all over the globe. You can only play if you're in Sony's 69 approved countries. This is 3 months after the game's been out. So for a lot of people, this is outside of the normal range that Steam will approve refunds. So that means if you're in any outside the original 69 countries, you can no longer play Helldivers 2. People that bought this game for $40 and believed in the game and may have purchased the deluxe. So $60. In a lot of these smaller countries, you just lose that money. The next point is one that actually affects the people within those 69 countries. The PlayStation login studios website accounts system servers have been compromised several times. So even if you're in a major country and you could still play Helldivers 2, you can get your PlayStation account. And you're like, okay, I'm going to purchase some super credits so I can buy the next war bond. You so choose to, $10. You spent that $10, now PlayStation has your info. Okay, whatever, like Xbox has my info, Google has my info, so on. But PlayStation has had so many problems that it actually is scary for a lot of people and they don't want this shit. Not to mention, people do not want an additional account. I have my Steam account, that's enough. I don't need a Steam account, a PlayStation account, an Ubisoft account, an EA account, an Epic Games account, behind this. An account of an account of account is not fun. The last thing I'll mention, because it appears to be only for one country, is Ukraine. Ukraine is dealing with a lot of shit right now. The only way to have a PlayStation account in Ukraine is to buy a modern PlayStation. I believe I saw you could purchase maybe a PlayStation 4 and get a PlayStation account that way. But in a country that's going through war to not die or be wiped off the map, yeah, they just got all these PlayStations laying around. Yeah, they can afford that while their lights or power is off because they got blown up by a neighboring country, we'll say. So this is just overall bad all around. Bad for the people that aren't in the countries because they can't play the game they've already been playing for 3 months purchased. Bad for the people in the countries that can have a PlayStation account because the site is unsafe. And not fun for the Ukraine people that have to deal with this. So I haven't logged on the game since then because I'm concerned that there's just not going to be enough people playing the game. Viewership is dead on Twitch. It used to be up to like 11,000, 12,000. It's dead. It's like 3,000. Let's go check. Let's pull up a Twitch tab. Today's popping. There's people everywhere. Any of these people playing Helldivers? No. Let's go check. Helldivers 2. Peak hours, and we're seeing 4.4k viewers. Most people, you're not going to recognize anyone in these first 2 rows. I don't recognize any of these people. And we're going down the list. We're down in the double-digit viewers, and it's like none of the major streamers. People in this first row probably are known by niche people. Like I don't know Cracklax, but he's doing okay. He's, over 500,000 viewers. He's got a pretty good voice.
As usual.
And he does no shilling? Man, what a miss out. Call me if you want me to not talk shit about your game. So the entire flip happens just because a publisher wants to fuck up something that's already working. People, every new war bond would be willing to purchase it if they didn't have the in-game credits. I think for the first one, I purchased it because I wasted my credits on the rotating armor that you can buy at any time. I didn't know that. Whatever, my mistake. I'll pay for it. But as you can see here, developers can make or break games, but publishers can kill game. We know this with games like Ubisoft. People steer clear of that because there's a good chance the game's going to suck or it's going to be weird. It's going to be fucked up in some way. They're using their accounts suck and half the time don't work. EA makes the same game every year. It's shit. It's always been shit. You could play the same game from like 2008. The graphics might be a bit worse, and you can have the same amount of fun. FIFA has gone to hell because you have to spend like $20,000 every year to get all of the same players back from the previous year that you had FIFA 2022 and you had Messi, and then you had to spend another $1,000 to get Messi in 2023 and 2024, and then they'll put out a legacy edition at some point, and it's gonna have Pele, and you're gonna have to spend 10 grand to get him. So basically, what I'm saying is the way to tell a good or bad game in the modern day is to look at the developer and the publisher and see their actions when the community's like, I would say, pretty unanimous on issues with the game. So someone might say the sound design's weak. Kuro Games, they're like, yeah, it's weak, we need to fix it. If you say, hey, the sound design is bad in Overwatch, you could have the top voted Reddit post, not a whisper anywhere. And if that hits news websites, what happens? Everyone's bisexual or transsexual or pansexual or hates Russia, supports Ukraine, anything to divert attention, just like they did with making 76 gay around the time of all the terrible shit that Blizzard was dealing with. They do that to quiet out the noise. They bring all the attention on this factor and they get everyone on their side. They get Twitter saying, yes, they're amazing. I love Overwatch and Blizzard. And it's like, you didn't address any of the problems about the game. You just are saying things that don't change my experience in the game. So those are things you want to watch out for when a new game is coming out, is what is the developer doing? If it's a small team, see if you can find the CEO. Let's see if I believe he's followed on Twitter. Pilestead. Do I still follow him? So Pilestead. When he's saying stuff like this, and he's like, in the worst controversy, where this is like not even how bad it is now, where he's like, is warranted, sorry for everyone. He's like, I just want to make great games. You can see here he's bleeding like, I can't do it, I can't change things. But we'll go to early on, before all this shit. Here he is, he's wearing a shirt of his game. This dude's a fan of his own game. He's getting saluted by other people that don't even know he's the CEO. He's in heaven. He's talking about the autocannon. It's like the team's best design. It's sick. And they've done so many things where they've changed. Here we go. Like, what was the problem here? Getting kicked for using a single strategy and people don't like. And he's like, all right, this is a hard problem. I'm taking suggestions. And then he's like, okay, thanks for those suggestions. We're going to try to figure out what's going on. Maybe vote to kick, but it's not the best. You can see here, he's like mulling over. He's taking in feedback. I would say almost too much feedback when you're on Twitter. But he probably has a good method of sorting it. And the last thing that might be kind of hard for people to hear that really love trashing game developers. Let's go back to Wuthering Waves. I started off talking about Wuthering Waves and I went on an hour rant about everything else. The important thing is knowing when the community is asking for one thing, but they really mean, they're saying the secondary problem. What they mean is like a first order problem. When they say the story is boring, why is it boring? Why do they find the story boring? What they mean possibly is that the story is written fine, but the animations of the characters is bad. Someone might say in League of Legends, the game feels like shit. I can try really hard and then still lose. What are they saying when they say that? That the individual player does not have enough agency in the game to affect the outcome. Let's say it's AD carry role. And it might be that AD carry role could be fine. The players are just asking for a straight buff to their damage. But what actually is a secondary reason is that maybe supports are too strong and they're just dumpstering AD carries. The AD carries just feel like they can do nothing. It's all on the supports. So maybe you change engage supports to be a little bit weaker. And by virtue of that, leads to the AD carry players feeling better without getting it exactly what they asked for. A really strong developer can take the feedback, filter it, digest it, and find the core of what the people are asking for. Therefore, with all this stuff added together, I'm pretty sure Wuthering Waves is going to be good because the developer, Kuro Games, is trying to make a good game. It's a gacha game. Yes, the monetization is probably going to be bad for the most part. That's kind of just expected of the genre, so we'll kind of put that aside for the moment. But they're taking in the feedback. The story sucks. Okay, back to the drawing board, which means they also acknowledge it's bad. They change it. People say sound design is it doesn't or like it doesn't feel like my attacks are landing. They're like, we got it. Sound design, that'll fix it. And they're like, oh, people are like, okay, it feels better, yeah. So we can see a pattern where it's like certain developers tend to have the same philosophy throughout their games. It starts off in like one game, they'll work on something, make it a little bit better, and they'll hold that thread in every next game that they make, where they try to refine it, listen to what people are complaining about, the whole point in closed betas, and adjust things a little bit. And then you have people like Blizzard, where you're like, hey, this thing in World of Warcraft feels like ass. Can we get this adjusted? But they're 2 years ahead in development. They aren't working on the current game anymore. They talked about how when they were in the expansion of Legion, expansions of World of Warcraft are generally 2 years. They're like, people like this infinite farming, what they called artifact power. You could log in every day and increase your power by a margin. And at the end of it, people are like, okay, I'm tired of this. I can't wait for the next patch. But people had already, from when people liked it at the beginning of Legion, they put that in the next expansion, Battle for Azeroth. And people started playing it and they're like, okay, this kind of sucks. I don't want this infinite farm anymore because I feel like I have to do it. But they had already put it in the expansion after that, in Shadowlands. Yeah, in Shadowlands. In Shadowlands, they converted the farm to your legendary effects that you got from Shadowgast, or whatever the hell the rogue version was called. But basically, they work on stuff so far ahead of time on World of Warcraft that they can't change things that large until 2 years down the road. You start to see these patterns in developers and you understand how they operate, and you can predict whether or not the game will be, we'll say, like I was saying, for pre-order, or like pre-order deluxe means you know the game 100% is going to be good and you want the developer to like make even more for it. The deluxe. Regular pre-order, you know the game's going to be good, at least for a period of time. Day 1/week 1 purchase means you want to see more of it, but likely you'll purchase it. Hesitant purchaser, meaning you may wait a month for the game to go through its whole bug phase and get fixed. And avoidant of certain developers like Blizzard nowadays. With this system, you can since there's 5 different tiers, you can kind of estimate where the game's going to fall. Pre-order deluxe means the game's going to be like 9 to 10 out of 10, like 9.5 if you don't think there's a perfect 10 out there, but essentially 9 to 10. On a bad day, maybe 8.5. Pre-order, you know, it can be like 7.5 and up. Week 1 purchaser, 6 and up, maybe more niche. A month, you think the game could be as low as like a 4, and then avoidant, the game could be as low as like a 1 to 2. And for the most part, you'll find that these developers tend to stay within these niches until something big happens. Like with Blizzard, for a long time being amazing and then falling off hard. I don't know how I'm going to turn this into a video. I just think Wuthering Waves is going to be good. God, I hope it's good. So let's do a little recap. This might be easier to deal with. Wuthering Waves is going to be good because it's a developer that iterates on the game from the closed betas based on feedback given from players, from this restructuring the story, 90% of it redone, sound design improved, echo farming improved, and animations also improved. From that, you can see that they're trying to make a good game. So Kura Games will put in the pre-order tier. In this world, you have pre-register, so that's a lot easier. There's not really anything to pre-order. Examples of games outside of gacha genre. Pre-order deluxe for Stardew Valley, meaning you want to buy the game and whatever extra shit because you want this person, ConcernedApe, to make as much money as possible because they're going to make this game, the next game, and their previous games even start, like Haunted Chocolatier is going to be the next game. It's going to be great, and he's going to continue to work on bug fixes and stuff for Stardew Valley, and you want to support the developer in that way. Hollow Cure, made by K-Anime, which also does Hollow Break, is their newest game I'm going to play in a bit. You know that the game's going to be decent, usually free to play. I would put this in like the pre-order tier, but you don't have to pay for their game, so you just put it on your wish list and move on. Valve Games, you put in the day week 1 purchase, where you want to see the actual gameplay come out, people deal with it, see if it's broken. But for the most part, you know the game's going to be good. Larian Studios rep is so high right now. You know that the next game that they put out is a game of the year contender, meaning you'd happily pay the deluxe version. So I would put this under pre-order deluxe. Then you have games like War Thunder and World of Warships, World of Tanks. They have 2 separate developers, but they're essentially the same. You know the game's going to play well, have cool mechanics, might be kind of hard to run on certain computers, whatever. So this one you might be hesitant, wait for it to be out for a while, get some content under it, let people figure out whether or not the monetization is crazy aggressive or not. So this is a month out purchaser. We'll call this like the 0.1 purchaser. We've gone back to Bethesda game. With the decline of Bethesda recently, this is a company that they are able to hype up their games so big that you want to pre-purchase it, but the games recently have fallen hard. If they release Skyrim 2, I would expect it to be worse than the old Skyrim. This is wait a month minimum before purchasing this game. Blizzard. This is currently, for me, under the avoidant category. Something's wrong over there with the studios. They've been bought out by Microsoft. Things might be better, but I need to wait up like a full year before I start trusting this developer again. So this is wait a year to purchase anything from them. War Within might be good. I'm not playing that shit day one. We're waiting. Unless if I can make money off of it, that's about it. We're avoiding it. And touching back on Arrowhead Game Studios, you know, the developer is really good iterating on the game, adding cool things, hearing feedback, being like, yeah, this doesn't feel good. We understand that. Let's adjust. This, however, whatever next publisher they fall under will make or break their next game. They should avoid PlayStation. I think they should just self-publish. They're big enough name that I think they should just self-publish. If they have the ability, somehow they should just buy out their own rights from the publisher. That is probably way too big of a deal for them to do. But holy shit, they need to. Reviews one more time. What happened? Like it was talked about before, here you could see that the servers were kind of ass to begin with because they weren't expecting to have as many people playing the game. And then it levels out because they get the server space and everyone's like, yeah, I'm having fun. Boosh. So this is a warning to all video game players, gamers, casual players of games. Pay attention to developers and what they do, how they move when the community reacts in certain ways. You don't want the crowd pleaser that just does everything for them. You don't want the deaf developer. I'm not saying deaf people, I'm saying developers that refuse to listen to audiences. And 3, you want to avoid any developer that's pandering to news outlets. That's the wrong person. News outlets don't like the same things gamers do. So refocus on how developers move. And apparently publishers as well, as the recent Helldivers fiasco will tell you. So I'm excited for Crow Games to put this game out on their own and for it to be a good experience and for them to adjust things.